Revealed, my sister sold our hidden 2.8 million piano unexpectedly, a life-changing discovery. Jack Evans stood frozen in shock, his heart racing like a drum, the message flickering on his phone as if it were mocking him. How could this be real? His hands trembled, thinking of the grand piano that had graced their family home for decades, a symbol of love, struggle, and memories. He remembered the songs played by his late grandmother, filling the air with warmth, joy, and sometimes even the sorrow of loss. Just writing this would make his chest constrict with anger and bewilderment. Lily sold it? How could she? The words spilled from his trembling lips as he paced through his modest living room, a space adorned with the simple joys of life as a schoolteacher. The walls held cherished pictures of students smiling in their classrooms, reminders of the passion that pumped through his veins. But now, all the loyalty and dedication he poured into teaching felt like grains of sand slipping through his fingers. His mind raced back to childhood. The sound of his grandfather on that piano, laughter spilling from the corners, warm summer evenings filled with possibilities. The dust settling like a blanket over that piano, as it was left untouched after their lives split apart. How could Lily just let it go? They had shared fierce arguments, they had built walls of silence between them, but this? This was a betrayal of the family legacy. In the coming days, as Jack roamed his neighborhood under the gentle Chicago sun, familiar faces offered warm greetings. He found comfort in their smiles, but every cheery conversation felt like a dagger in his heart, a reminder of the rift with his sister. As he talked about school fundraisers and local events at a coffee shop, he felt the pang of their shared history overlapping with the joy surrounding him. Have you heard about the old Evans piano? Mrs. Adams asked, her eyes twinkling. Jack's heart sank. The community rallied around their family, but he couldn't share his unfolding pain. With every friendly inquiry, his memories ignited with laughter around that piano, only to crash down again like a wave pulling him under. Then it happened. The call that turned everything upside down. It was Lily. Relief crashed into sadness as she spoke through the quakes of her voice. Jack, I am so sorry. I didn't know what else to do. She revealed her mounting debts, her voice laced with desperation. I didn't mean to. I thought I could fix everything. Jack's heart swirled with confusion, betrayal mingling with a surprising thread of empathy. How far they had come apart. Dare he respond? He wanted to scream and hug her simultaneously. Just as Jack thought he'd touched bottom, another wave of hurt flowed through him. Was it loyalty or justice that drove him now? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As they exchanged tears and truths, his mind whirled with images of shared laughter and heavy hearts. How had they let the years of misunderstanding and silence drive such a wedge? Now, facing each other, Jack realized a choice loomed large. Could he let go of his hurt and embrace the connection that once defined their bond? The echo of memories, the chords of childhood dreams played softly behind his eyelids. Would he prioritize family loyalty over financial betrayal? In that moment, Jack felt the weight of both love and anger on his shoulders, each pulling him down different paths. The road before him was blurring, and standing between the past and an uncertain future, he was no longer just a teacher, he was a brother standing on the brink of reconciliation, or perhaps, an irreversible separation. Jack's breath hitched as he contemplated the crumbling bridge between him and Lily. The memories tugged hard, whispering promises of what was once a close-knit bond. Could they find their way back? He longed for the laughter that echoed through the halls of their childhood home, the evenings wrapped in music and stories. Yet, the idea of betrayal hung over him like a dark cloud. Lily, he finally managed, his voice trembling with uncertainty, why didn't you tell me before? I thought I could manage it on my own, Jack, she replied, tears mingling with desperate apologies. I didn't want to burden you. I thought, maybe I could sell it and pay off the debts, and we could keep it normal. Normal. The word stung like a sharp slap. Nothing felt normal anymore. He hadn't just lost a piano, he felt as if he'd lost parts of their shared history, the foundation of their family. The way their lives had spun apart seemed unreal now. They were once inseparable, yet one impulsive decision from her left him stranded, alone in a sea of fractured emotions. Remembered their last family gathering, how she had laughed as they reminisced about their grandmother teaching them how to play. Jack's heart sank. Where had all the love gone? Do you have any idea what that piano represents? He spoke, emotions spilling over, a cocktail of grief and anger. It was more than just an instrument to us. It held our family's memories. Silence grew heavy between them, but he noticed the tremor in her voice as she responded, I thought I could save us from the financial mess. I did it for us, Jack. Her words hung in the air, and doubt crept into Jack's heart. Was it truly for them, or had she acted out of desperation? Each question intensified his internal struggle. Would forgiving her mean accepting the pain, or would it lead to more? Jack paced across his living room, the familiar surroundings now feeling confining. What would he lose if he let go of this anger? The family bond they once cherished was strained, but was it irreparable? He sighed, a deep exhalation that felt like it shook loose a piece of his heart. I just don't understand, Lily. You could have come to me. We could have faced this together. As if hearing the ache in his voice, he saw a flicker of vulnerability in her expression. It was a feeling they both shared, a drowning sensation of isolation. They were siblings who had grown too far apart, yet they both craved connection, yearning to bridge the divide that had grown. Please, Jack, she pleaded, her voice barely a whisper. I need you to understand. Everybody makes mistakes. I lost control. But I need your help now. At that moment, Jack realized that perhaps what was most important wasn't whether he could forgive her but if they could come together to mend what was broken. The thought filled him with a flicker of hope. Yet there was still a heavy burden of distrust looming large. Could their relationship ever return to what it had been? I don't know if I can, but he began, feeling the weight of the decision hanging in the air. We need to talk. You need to explain everything, every single detail, and then maybe just maybe I can start to understand. An unspoken pact seemed to form between them in that moment. They were two siblings treading on fragile ground, but it was a start. Gathering her thoughts, Lily nodded quietly, tears glistening in her eyes. The room felt charged, like a storm just waiting to break. Jack could sense that there was much more beneath the surface, deeper complications waiting to be unearthed. As they both braced themselves for the deeper reckoning ahead, his mind buzzed with questions. What would it take for them to rebuild? Would they have the strength to tackle the hidden issues that loomed like shadows in their past? And most pressing of all, would the wounds heal, or were they destined to fester? With a heavy heart and searching eyes, Jack spoke again. Let us figure this out together. But can we even trust each other anymore? The room held its breath as they stood on the edge of an impending revelation, with secrets still buried beneath layers of heartache. Would they be brave enough to face them together? The tension in the room simmered, a palpable energy swirling between Jack and Lily as they prepared to dive into the depths of their troubled relationship. Jack shifted nervously, the weight of unexpressed feelings pressing against his chest. He could feel the hollow ache of betrayal, mixed with his desire to understand his sister. Okay, he started, running a hand through his hair, let's start from the beginning. What pushed you to make that decision? Lily took a shuddering breath, her eyes darting to the ground as if searching for the right words beneath the floorboards. It was a lot of things, Jack. The bills were piling up. I felt completely trapped. Every time I looked at the piano, it just reminded me that we were losing everything. I thought selling it would save us. Jack clenched his jaw. You really believe that? It felt like the only way out, she replied, her voice trembling. But I didn't think it would hurt you like this. I didn't mean for it to. I thought I was being practical. Practical? He echoed, disbelief flashing in his eyes. That piano was a part of our lives. It was our family. Practical would have been admitting we needed help. Lily's eyes glistened with unshed tears as hurt flickered across her face. I was scared. I felt like I was letting Mom down. Every time I sat at that piano, I could almost hear her voice telling us to keep fighting, but fighting required money and I didn't know how else to fix it. I thought saving was the answer. I thought I was doing the right thing. The pain in her admission reverberated within Jack. The heartache between them felt raw, like they were unearthing the scars they both had hidden. He wanted to shout, to let her know how deeply she had cut him. Lily, you betrayed us. He finally exclaimed, arms flailing at the air. You had no right to sell something that meant so much to us without talking to me. You didn't just lose a piano, you lost our trust. I know. She cried, her hands reaching out as if to bridge the gap between them. I'm sorry, Jack. It was impulsive. I got overwhelmed, and in that moment, I thought I could take the responsibility on my shoulders. I thought it would save us. Jack's heart began to soften a fraction as he read the desperation in her eyes. That same fear lurked in his chest too, the fear of losing their family entirely. But trust was a fragile thing, and he struggled with the thought that it had been shattered. Did you ever try to talk to me? He asked, lowering his voice to a whisper. You could have called. You could have told me what you were feeling. Maybe I could have figured something out. I wanted to, she said, tears spilling over, but I felt like I was always coming to you for help. I didn't want to be a burden anymore. The truth struck hard, twisting in his gut. They had both worn masks, pretending everything was fine while drowning in their worries. He grasped that resentment had brewed between them, pushing them apart when they needed each other the most. I just want you to know, he said, his voice steady now, I'm willing to listen. It might take some time to rebuild the trust, but we can't keep hiding from this. Her relief was visible, and for the first time since the argument began, a glimmer of hope sparked in Jack's heart. I'll do anything to make it right, Jack, Lily whispered, sincerity lacing her words. Okay, he replied, but it starts with honesty. We have to face the real reasons behind all this. No more secrets, no more pretending. They both nodded, feeling the fragile beginnings of healing in the air. The weight of history pressed down on them, but for the first time, it felt bearable. However, just as a measure of hope settled in, Jack's phone buzzed angrily against the table. He hesitated but lifted it to see a message flash across the screen. We have a problem. The piano is not sold yet, but someone wants to buy it. Can we talk? His heart dropped, all the progress they had made hanging in the balance. What would happen next? And could they possibly save what mattered most to them? Jack stared at the screen, his heart racing. Every word pulsed like a drumbeat in his chest. He was caught between hope and despair, the fragile progress he had made with Lily now at risk of unraveling. What is it? Lily asked, her voice breaking the silence, anxiety creeping back into her tone. The intensity in her gaze flickered between concern and dread. It's about the piano, he said, trying to keep his voice steady despite the whirlpool of emotions. He showed her the message. Someone wants to buy it. They say it's not sold yet, but we need to talk. Lily's face paled as realization dawned. Oh God, Jack. What if they back out? What if they push for the sale? We can't let that happen. I know, Jack said, worry slipping into his tone. But we have to think this through. Selling it might solve the money problems, but at what cost? She nodded, her hands trembling. I thought selling it was the right choice, but now I'm not so sure. it's like everything is falling apart again. Let us just breathe for a second, he suggested, trying to find some calm between the storm. We have time, right? We can figure this out together. Lily took a deep breath, her eyes shining with uncertainty. Can we? I feel like I've messed up so much already. What if I can't fix this? The weight of their shared history hung between them. Jack's heart ached at the thought of how fragile their connection had become. He wanted to reach out and reassure her, but the fear of something more profound being lost loomed larger than ever. Maybe this isn't just about the piano, he said softly. Maybe it's about us, about how we let fear dictate our choices. We have to break that cycle. I know you're right, she whispered, looking down at her hands. But I just wanted to protect us, and it seems I only pushed us further apart. The silence that followed was thick with the remnants of their earlier confrontation. Jack's heart raced again as he thought about the possible repercussions of this situation. They were standing on the edge of an abyss. On one side lay the hope of reconciliation, and on the other, the potential for complete destruction. Lily lifted her gaze to meet his, and for an instant, he saw a flicker of the sister he grew up with, the one who thrived under the spotlight of the piano's melodies and shared dreams with him. Jack, can we try to buy back the piano if it comes to that? I'll work extra shifts or sell my things, anything to make it right. He pondered her words, feeling the warmth of her determination wrap around him. Maybe they could still save it, but that would mean acknowledging their deep failures and coming to an understanding of what really mattered to them. Let us make a plan, he said. We'll figure out how to prevent this sale. But we also need to talk about what we're really fighting for. It isn't just a piano, it's our family and our future. Lily nodded, a spark of resolve igniting in her eyes. No more secrets, right? Exactly, Jack affirmed, feeling a flicker of hope. But before they could set their ideas into motion, the phone buzzed again. What now? Jack sighed, his patience fraying. Lily leaned over to peek at the message. It's from the buyer they want to meet today. The reality of their situation slapped Jack in the face with fresh urgency. Would they be ready to face the truth? Could they stand strong together as they approached that pivotal moment? He looked into Lily's eyes and saw both fear and hope reflected there. They were on the brink of not just a negotiation, this was a turning point, a chance to reclaim their broken pieces. Let us do it, he said firmly. Together. But deep inside, a storm brewed, and as Jack felt his palms sweat, he couldn't shake the nagging doubt. What if they learned the sale terms were more complicated than they had anticipated? And what if they weren't prepared for the truth that awaited them? Jack felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him as they prepared to leave for the meeting. He glanced around the small living room, the memories tucked into every corner. The faded wallpaper, the vibrant chaos of childhood photos, and the place where Lily used to practice that piano. The piano. Just the thought of losing it twisted his stomach into knots. Do you have everything? He asked quickly, trying to keep the conversation light, though the heaviness in his heart told him otherwise. Yeah, I think so. Lily's voice was faint, as if each word were a struggle to pull from her chest. She was lost in thought, likely replaying their past decisions, haunted by what could have been. As they walked outside, the sun was beginning its descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Jack felt a growing ache not just for the piano, but for the bond he used to share with Lily. A bond that seemed threatened by the choices they had both made. The car ride was filled with mounting tension. Jack focused on the road, trying to drown out the doubts swirling in his head. We can do this, he said, more to convince himself than her. Whatever it takes. Lily nodded, but her gaze remained fixed on her lap, and he could sense her apprehension. Jack, what if this buyer is serious? What if we can't afford it? I meant well when I decided to sell. Stop, he interrupted softly, taking a deep breath. No more what-ifs. We're here now, and we'll negotiate. We're going to get through this together. The response was a brief spark in Lily's eyes. Together, she echoed, for just a moment sounding like the sister he had known, the one who filled their home with music. As they reached the cafe where they were to meet the buyer, Jack parked the car, the silence heavy with unspoken fears. They stepped inside, the warm air filled with the scent of fresh coffee. Jack scanned the room, a group nestled in the corner, a man on his laptop, and a woman looking intently at her phone. "Is that them?" Lily asked, her voice shaking as she nodded toward a couple sitting at a table, their attire sharp and confident. Jack felt his heart race as a wave of apprehension hit him harder than before. "Guess so," he said, trying to mask his nerves. They approached slowly, the couple glancing up as they took their place at the table. "Hi there, I'm Marco," the man introduced, extending his hand. "And this is Isabel." "Nice to meet you," Jack replied, forcing a smile. He could feel Lily's hand brushing against his, a subtle reassurance as they sat down. After exchanging small talk, Marco leaned in, his expression shifting to something more serious. "So, about the piano. We've been discussing the terms of sale." Jack's stomach dropped at the sound of those words. There it was, the heart of their current turmoil laid bare before them. He glanced at Lily, who was suddenly pale, her determination wavering. "You mentioned our family connection to the piano," Isabel said, her tone softer, almost conspiratorial. "But how much are you really willing to fight for it?" Jack was taken aback, her question resonating like a drum in his ears. What did it mean to fight for something? Did it imply sacrifice? Love? He stared at Lily, who looked up at him, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. I think we're willing to do whatever it takes," Jack replied, his voice steadier than he felt. But in that moment, he realized this was more than just about a piano. It was about them. "Good," Marco nodded, leaning back in his chair, looking impressed. "Because the agreement is a bit complicated," as Marco continued, Jack's heart raced again, not just from anticipation but from the heaviness of the unknown hanging in the air. What were they truly prepared to give up? Jack felt that their lives, fragile and tightly woven together, were about to be tested in ways he had never imagined. Just as he was losing himself in thought, Lily's hand squeezed his tightly. Yet a part of him knew they had reached a breaking point, and whatever they decided here would echo far beyond this cafe. "Are you ready?" he asked, glancing at Lily, whose eyes were now full of fighting spirit once more. "I am," she vowed, as the fight awakened in both their hearts, but as they sat there, the storm outside mirrored the one in Jack's chest. Could they really reclaim the parts of themselves they were losing? And what if fighting meant facing the painful truths of their past? Every heartbeat pulsed with uncertainty as he prepared to dive deeper into the conversation. Was this truly the moment that would change everything? Jack felt the air thicken around them, every heartbeat echoing with the weight of unasked questions. He leaned forward, feeling a surge of protectiveness. The stakes weren't just about money, they were about history, family, and legacy. "Marco? Can you clarify complicated?" he asked, his voice steady, an anchor in the swell of emotions crashing around him. Marco smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Of course. You see, the thing is," he glanced at Isabel, who nodded subtly. "The piano's value isn't merely monetary. It holds artistic significance. We want to ensure it's in the right hands." Jack exchanged a glance with Lily. The right hands. What did that even mean? "What are you suggesting?" Jack pressed, unwilling to let the implication float by unanswered. Isabel shifted, intertwining her fingers thoughtfully. "Here's the thing. We're proposing an evaluation of the piano. An appraisal, yes, to determine its worth. But we're also interested in something deeper." Jack's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" "There's an organization, a cultural foundation. We believe your piano can play a pivotal role in preserving the musical history associated with it." Isabel paused, gauging their reactions. "We'd like to collaborate. Perhaps you could lend it to the foundation. In exchange, we provide a financial arrangement that benefits you both." The idea rolled over Jack. You want to borrow it? Not borrow, contribute, Marco clarified. Think of it like a partnership. We'll promote its history, feature it in public exhibits, and bring awareness to its legacy. You'll retain rights to its ownership while receiving financial support. Lily's eyes widened. Jack could see the gears turning in her mind, wrestling with the thought of sharing something so personal. But what if it's damaged? What if we lose it? That's a valid concern, Marco said, his voice smooth as silk. We would provide full insurance and handle all logistics. You'd be consulted at every step. But we genuinely believe it can reach a wider audience. Your family's story matters. Jack felt a flicker of hope, mixed with doubt. And what if we said no? In that case, Isabel replied, her tone shifting, the sale would proceed as originally planned, the piano would be moved to another buyer who might not appreciate it as much. We want to make sure it has a home where it's cherished, Lily. You know what I mean? Jack watched Lily's expression evolve from resistance to contemplation, the storm in her mind slowly clearing. And if we consider this partnership, how long would we be tied into it? 3 years, Marco replied, his gaze unwavering. After that, it can return home. Jack felt the ground beneath him shift. 3 years. It seemed like a small price for the potential of preserving the piano's legacy. Yet, the thought of letting go, albeit temporarily, made his heart ache. We need time to think about this, Jack finally said. Can you give us a moment? Marco and Isabel exchanged glances before nodding, allowing them a moment of solitude in the bustling cafe. The silence enveloped them, and for a moment, all the noise faded. Jack turned to Lily, the mix of hope and uncertainty on her face mirrored his own. What do you think? Is this possible? Lily hesitated, biting her lip. It would mean maintaining a connection to our past, wouldn't it? And we could ensure it's cared for. Except we're still letting it go, even if it's in a way that protects it, Jack said. But it feels like we'd be putting the piano ahead of us, ahead of what we need. But what if this is about giving it a life we can't right now? She countered, her voice barely above a whisper. Maybe it's not letting go, Jack. Maybe it's sharing for now. Jack contemplated the weight of her words. Could they risk their emotional attachment for a chance to honor their family's history? And what did that mean for them? Every decision we make from here changes everything, he said slowly. Are we ready to embrace that? Just as he asked the question, the rain began to fall outside, a gentle rhythm that echoed the turmoil within. The storm swirling outside had created a feeling all too familiar, a sense of urgency that he couldn't shake. Lily's grip tightened around her coffee cup, and Jack could see the gears turning once more. Yet, before they could delve deeper into their doubts, Marco returned with a hopeful smile and a hint of impatience in his voice. Ready to talk? Every part of Jack felt unsteady, knowing whatever they decided would mark the beginning of an unexpected journey. Could they pull the pieces together to embrace this chance without losing themselves in the process? Whatever happens next, he thought, this is just the beginning. Jack felt the weight of Marco's presence as he returned, an expectant grin plastered on his face. His heart raced, caught between the dread of making the wrong choice and the longing to connect with their family's legacy. Let's talk, Marco prompted, his tone a mixture of eagerness and professionalism. Lily took a deep breath, her fingers releasing their grip on the coffee cup. Okay. We're listening. Jack nodded, his anxiety mingling with determination. We need to know more about this partnership. What does it really look like beyond the financial aspect? Marco leaned forward, his eyes sparkling with passion. It's not just about money, Jack. It's about storytelling, about keeping your family's history alive. Your piano could be the centerpiece of exhibitions, educational programs, and community events. We envision concerts where it plays a central role, connecting people to the very essence of its music. Lily's expression softened, her imagination painting vibrant images of children gathering around, eyes wide with wonder as they heard the stories of the past. Yet, a flicker of concern creased her brow. But what if it becomes just an artifact? What if it loses its meaning? Your involvement is vital, Isabel interjected, earnestness in her voice. We don't want it to be just an object. We want you and Jack to be part of this journey. You can share stories, insights, and contribute to its narrative. It's collaboration, not a handoff. Jack exchanged glances with Lily. He could see her fears conflicting with a budding excitement. Would we be able to go to the exhibitions? Participate in the gatherings? Absolutely. Marco's enthusiasm surged. We envision you both as ambassadors of the piano's story. You'll take part in everything, helping lead discussions, sharing memories. You're not just giving it away, you're giving it a platform. Lily leaned in closer, a small light igniting in her eyes. Maybe if we do this, we could represent our family, our history. Jack felt a swell of pride for her. But this isn't just about history. It's about our future too. We can use this opportunity to stabilize our lives right now. But it still feels like sharing something so personal. It is personal, Isabel replied, her tone softening. And that's what makes it valuable. When you let the world see your family's past, it breathes life into what was once hidden. It becomes part of a larger narrative. Lily's expression shifted, the idea of sharing their family story taking root. What if we set limits? Like, we engage enough to feel connected but not so much that it overwhelms us? Jack nodded thoughtfully. And as long as we feel in control of how our family's legacy is shared, maybe we can embrace this? Marco smiled wider, sensing the shift in the room. If that's what you need, we can create a framework that suits your comfort. This partnership is as much about your needs as it is about showcasing the piano. In the background, the rain softened into a light drizzle, a gentle reminder of the storm that had brought them to this crossroads. They shared a look, a silent agreement, and it felt like a pact was forming. So, can we think it over and come to a decision by tomorrow? Jack finally asked, feeling the burden of ownership lift just slightly. Of course, Marco replied, his expression warm. Take your time, but know that we're here when you're ready. We believe in the piano's power, and we believe in you too. As he spoke, Jack felt a knot of uncertainty unwind, replaced by the possibility of hope. A chance to reclaim their family history and share their passion with the world felt both thrilling and daunting. As they prepared to leave, Lily turned to Jack, her eyes filled with a flicker of newfound resolve. What if this really is our chance? Before she could finish her thought, a loud crack of thunder split the air, echoing their uncertainty. They jumped slightly, and Jack chuckled at the timing, but inside, his heart raced again. He realized that with every choice they faced, they were standing at the brink of transformation. Tomorrow could change everything, couldn't it? He murmured. As they stepped outside into the cool, damp air, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this journey was just beginning, and who knew what awaited them in the light of day. The morning sun broke through the clouds, casting soft light across the wet pavement. Jack felt a sense of anticipation as he and Lily walked toward the small cafe where they often met to strategize. The chatter of nearby conversations wrapped around them like a warm embrace. Yet, beneath the surface, he sensed a current of tension. Lily sat across from him, her hands wrapped around her steaming cup of coffee, deep in thought. Jack studied her, taking in the way her brow furrowed slightly. What's going on in that head of yours? He asked gently, wanting to pull her back from her worries. I keep thinking about yesterday, Jack. Her voice was lower, almost mournful. What if we walk into something we can't handle? It's more than just a piano, it's our family, our memories. What if we fail to honor that? Jack took a quick sip of his own coffee, trying to steady the rising tide of emotion inside him. I know it's a risk. He leaned forward, his heart racing as he laid everything on the table. But maybe we could turn that risk into something beautiful. Imagine if we could bring the stories of our family to life through this piano. It could inspire others. Lily's expression softened at the thought, but concern still lingered in her eyes. What if they don't care about our story? What if it's just a gimmick to sell tickets? Jack reached out, placing his hand over hers. That's what we have to define. We have to ensure it's authentic. He could feel the warmth of her skin, grounding him. Together, we can shape this narrative. It's ours to tell, and no one knows it better than us. A flicker of excitement sparked in Lily's eyes. You really believe that, don't you? I do, he said, feeling a spark of courage ignite in him. We can create something meaningful, something that brings people together. Not just for us, but for everyone who has walked this path. We all have stories hidden in the corners of our hearts waiting to be shared. The tension in Lily's face began to ease, and she smiled, a glimmer of hope illuminating her features. What if we make the first step today? We draft a list of our memories related to the piano, the stories we want to share. That'll help solidify our approach before we meet with Marco and Isabel. Great idea. Jack felt a surge of relief at their growing connection to the task ahead. Let's start with Grandma's favorite song. Do you remember how she used to play it for us on rainy days? As they began to scribble down notes, ideas flowed back and forth like an electric current. Each story carried weight, laden with laughter and tears, weaving a tapestry that spanned generations. The way Grandma would smile while playing, her fingers dancing over the keys, ignited soft laughter between them. Hours passed like minutes as they delved deep into their shared past, rediscovering the threads that tied them to their family's legacy. The cafe buzzed around them, but they were in their own world, a sacred space alive with nostalgia and possibilities. Just then, Lily's phone buzzed. She shot him a quick look, a mix of excitement and fear. It's Marco. He wants to check in. Everything inside Jack tensed. This was at the moment that would shift their lives again. Are we ready? He asked, tension pressing down on them both. With a deep breath, Lily nodded. Let's embrace this. We've got our story to tell. Jack took her hand, squeezing it tightly. Together, then. Whatever comes next, we face it as a team. As she pressed the answer button on the phone, Jack's heart pounded in rhythm with the ticking clock on the wall. In this moment of vulnerability and excitement, one thought echoed through his mind. What if they truly could breathe life into their history and inspire others along the way? The line connected, and a voice filled the air. Hey, it's Marco. How are you two feeling about everything? Jack exchanged glances with Lily. They had taken that leap, but what awaited them on the other side was still a mystery. Ready to share our story? Lily replied, her voice steady despite the flutter in her stomach. What if their story led to unexpected twists ahead? What if they uncovered more than just family memories? Let's see where this takes us, Jack thought, the thrill of anticipation coursing through him like electricity. Jack held his breath, his heart racing as Marco's voice danced through the phone. I'm glad to hear you're feeling ready. I've just been watching some online tutorials on how to restore old pianos. You know, we can really leverage this historic piece. Lily leaned closer, her eyes widening. Resources for restoration? That sounds promising. Definitely. I'm thinking of getting a crew together, some local musicians and carpenters. It'll be a community effort. Plus, it could draw in more attention when we showcase the piano, Marco added with palpable excitement. Jack felt a spark ignite in his chest. That's exactly what we need, putting in the work as a team. It makes the story feel alive. Lily was nodding, her tension easing. What's the timeline looking like? I'd love to get some planning in place over the next few weeks. What about next Saturday? We can gather everyone at the studio. You both in? Marco said, optimism thumping in his voice. Count us in. Jack replied, his own excitement now bubbling over. Great. I can't wait to see what you both have cooked up. We'll make this unforgettable. Marco exclaimed, the enthusiasm infectious. After they hung up, Jack and Lily shared a look, a silent understanding passing between them. It was no longer just an idea. It was transforming into something tangible, an opportunity to bridge the gap between their past and present. What do you think? Are we really ready for this? Jack asked, wanting to ensure they were both on the same page. Lily took a moment, then exhaled slowly. I think we are. I need to believe we can make this work. Her voice was steady, but Jack noticed the glimmer of fear still in her eyes. Let's start with that list, he suggested, already pulling a napkin towards him. We have to define our story first. The two of them fell into a rhythm again, hearts racing as they recalled each memory, each song that shaped their family. As they shared stories, they reminisced about the laughter, the arguments over who got to sit closest to Grandma while she played, and how her music had a way of filling the room with warmth even on the coldest days. This is what it's all about, Jack murmured, feeling the weight of their history surging to the surface. Not just about the piano. It's remembering her legacy, honoring her strength. When she lost her husband, it was that music that kept her going, Lily added softly, her gaze drifting to the cafe window. Outside, the sun was shining even brighter. It feels like we're finally stepping into her footsteps. Jack smiled, reflecting on that thought. They weren't just restoring a piano, they were digging up their roots. He felt invigorated by the idea, but a small doubt tucked in at the back of his mind. As they finalized a few notes, there came a sharp vibration from Lily's phone. Another message? Jack asked, curiosity piqued. Lily glanced at the screen, her brow furrowing. It's Isabel. It seems like she has news about the piano. Jack leaned closer, beating heart quickening again. What does she say? Lily's eyes widened as she read. She says she might have uncovered something about it, something we didn't know before. His stomach fluttered with a mix of excitement and dread. What do you think it could be? I don't know, but Lily's voice trailed off, uncertainty creeping into her expression. Jack's own heart began to pound harder. But what if it changes everything? They both exchanged a look, the weight of unspoken possibilities thick in the air. Let's find out, Jack said, his resolve strengthening. With a sense of dread layered under hope, Lily typed a quick response. What if uncovering the truth and touching their lives brings more than we ever dreamed? As the thrum of anticipation built, Jack wondered if they were truly ready for what lay ahead. This could unveil something deeper, more than just family stories, even secrets lurking beneath. What happens when the truth shines brighter than the memories we cherish? And within that question lay a door, ready to swing open to a new chapter, one that would test everything they believed about family, legacy, and the music that bound them. Jack felt an electric charge in the air as they stood outside the cafe, the anticipation of unfolding discoveries pressing down on them. What if it changes everything? He had spoken, a whisper carrying more weight than it should. Now, it all felt palpable. The sun danced through the skies, but a shadow loomed over their hearts, and Lily returned home, their minds racing with the possibilities that lay ahead. They had reconnected in ways they thought were lost forever, but what new truths awaited them as they delved deeper into their family history? Sitting across from each other at the old dining table, the treasured melodies of their childhood echoed in Jack's mind. In the stillness of the moment, he felt nostalgia wash over him, intensifying the need to uncover every forgotten memory. Let's look into what Isabel revealed, he said, determined to keep the momentum going. Lily nodded, her excitement causing her fingers to twitch in anticipation. We should research together, she suggested, her voice a vibrant mix of hope and trepidation. With computers glowing warmly before them, the siblings transitioned into a whirl of shared screens, scouring documents and archives, getting lost in details that breathed new life into their family's legacy. Hours flew by, and with every click and scroll, stories layered upon stories rose before them like a storm, each historic note intertwining with their cherished experiences. Suddenly, Jack stumbled upon an old newspaper article featuring the piano. Lily, look at this! He exclaimed, focusing on the beautiful image of their grandmother next to the piano, her smile radiant under the old lights of a music hall. It was a moment frozen in time, a snapshot of their family's legacy. The article detailed how she had dedicated her life to teaching music to children, her passion lighting up the community. Tears welled in Lily's eyes. She loved that piano. It was her life's companion, she breathed, emotions swirling within her. More than a companion, she shared joy through it, Jack pointed out, his heart swelling with pride. This is not just about saving or selling, it's preserving her memory. They shared a knowing glance, the incredible weight of responsibility settling upon them like a thick cloak. They were uncovering pieces of their family history, threads that spoke of love, perseverance, and the power of music spanning generations. Each piece of information brought them closer together, strengthening their bond, igniting a fire they thought had faded. With every revelation, they felt their family legacy grow more profound, creating a vision together that reached beyond mere materiality. Jack leaned forward, excitement surging. What if we laid out plans together for the exhibition? We can create space for community stories while we keep Grandma's spirit alive. Lily's eyes lit up, the idea blossoming in her imagination. Yes. And we can even lead workshops, inviting kids to experience music. Just like Grandma did. I've never seen you like this, Jack grinned, watching his sister reclaim her passion through memories that powerfully stitched them back together. As they both jotted down notes, zest for life flowed back into their conversations. Resentment transformed into laughter and honest conversations, building a bridge so essential for both of them. This was not solely about the piano anymore, it was about a revival of their family, rekindling the warmth they both yearned for, and giving life to creative expressions that would resonate with others. In that pivotal moment, Jack's phone buzzed again. It was a message from Isabel, and a sense of urgency flooded back. She wants to meet about the exhibition planning. They're excited. Now? Let us go, Lily said, rising at once. Her eyes sparkled with newfound determination. Together. This is our family's chance. As they drove to the meeting, momentum filled the air, the wind whipping through open windows. Jack's heartbeat matched the rhythm of their hopeful spirits. This time, they weren't leading separate lives, they were a team embracing their truth and heritage. Stepping into the meeting space, they were greeted by Marco and Isabel, who wore infectious beams of encouragement. By the time they settled into a roundtable discussion, Jack and Lily understood the magnitude of what they were embarking on. They exchanged their plans with enthusiasm, pouring out the ideas they had forged together. The exhibition will tell our grandmother's story, Jack declared, his heart swelling with pride as he shared their newfound dreams. It'll allow children to find their music, just as she did, Lily continued, her voice steady and compelling. Marco nodded, his expression one of admiration. You both are going to make this truly special. It's going to be a landmark event that will not only honor your grandmother but also inspire many, he praised. Jack felt a rush of validation flow through him, reinvigorating their shared purpose. Time passed as they discussed details, but every moment painted with laughter and collaboration created a feeling of community around them. Their worries transformed into excitement, each word fueling the sense of a journey that was finally aligning the past and present. As the meeting came to a close, Jack stood taller. It felt as if they were stepping into a new chapter filled with purpose. Tomorrow, we start making calls. Let us bring the community together. Lily announced, her eyes gleaming with passion. When it was all over, they stepped out, their hearts lighter, spirits soaring higher. Against a sunset painting the sky fuchsia and gold, Jack turned to Lily. We did this together, didn't we? Lily nodded, her voice a tremor of excitement. We're unstoppable, and now we finally feel whole. They smiled at each other, a shared understanding that echoed through their intertwined hearts. The journey ahead was about more than just the piano. It was about rekindling family ties, sharing their story, and carrying on a legacy that would resonate for generations. Ready for the world to hear our family's music? Jack asked, burying his doubts in the fading light. Absolutely. Lily grinned, and together, they felt music rising within them, resonating beyond the keys of that beloved piano. They were ready to write the next chapter, a story that would surely leave echoes throughout their community and beyond. Now, more than ever, it was clear, this was just the beginning. And they would face the future hand in hand. If you felt the power of family or the grip of shared stories through this journey, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share this with at least 5 friends who need to feel this transformation. Leave a like right now to fuel the algorithm and comment your favorite moment from this emotional ride. Your voice matters. Let's keep the conversation going.